The Pirelli World Challenge now begins the second half of the 2014 season championship chase, and it all starts with a return to one of the most popular street circuits in North America, Toronto, and the great track that winds its way through Exhibition Place. It is round 9 and round 10 of the GT and GTS championships coming up next. Hi everybody, and welcome to Toronto's Exhibition Place, site of one of the great temporary street circuits in all of North America. In fact, it has been a staple on the North American and even world calendar since 1986. And it's great to be here once again for the Pirelli World Challenge with round number 10 of the Pirelli World Challenge coming up, all part of the Honda Indy Toronto. I'm Greg Creamer, this is Jeff Lepper. And Jeff, in round 9 of the championship that unfolded yesterday, an event-filled race to be sure. A couple of cautions. It was not the kind of race you necessarily want to see, but it certainly provided some entertainment. But at the front, Nick Tandy delivered the win from pole. Looked like it was going to be a runaway for him a little bit, but after that last long caution, a guy named Kuno Whitmer and that Viper showed up and took it to Tandy for those last few laps.
Yeah, Kuno said he was, with the timing, he was going to try to back off a little bit, maybe cool his Pirelli P0 tires up and make a run for him at the end, and that just played right in his favor when that caution came out.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. Likewise, a great battle for third between Mike Skeen trying to run down and pass Johnny O'Connell. In a way, that's the points battle. O'Connell led coming in, Skeen second. Those other two guys are not in it for the rest of the season. So in a way, the 2 points protagonists were just going at it.
Yeah, they sure were. And Mike Skeen, great in that Audi R8. But Johnny O'Connell, third place Cadillac on a temporary street circuit. You know, I thought he'd be up in the front.
Right. Well, he actually told us afterwards, he said, the car in qualifying was not happy. Big changes. He said it was a lot more raceable, but I was so far back. Another great start, of course, and he had to fight for it. Skeen, by the way, got the best race lap in GT, which means he'll start on the pole for today's 10th round. That's going to be fascinating. In GTS, Dean Martin, an amazing run, a huge wreck at the back of the GT field, collected a bunch of the GTS cars, completely changed the complexion of that race. Dean Martin on an old 2-year-old motor, made some changes, was able to get through and bring it home for the win. But maybe the biggest story, the guy who was originally on pole, Mark Wilkins, got DQ'd to the back of the pack. He's from Toronto, he's at home, and yet he augured through to finish fourth. That was one of the biggest pieces of news of the day. So after the race, I had a moment, found Mark Wilkins, had a bit of a chat. At the Honda Indy Toronto, Toronto native Mark Wilkins in GTS in the Kia puts it on pole, but Mark, little problem in post-qualifying tech. You got moved to the back. Amazing charge. Talk about lemonade from lemons. What a race today, up into fourth.
We have a great Optima. You know, it was a real bummer. But you know what? This series is super competitive, and we're always, you know, on the limit. So unfortunately, just a touch over, and that put us at the back to start the race today. But you know, one corner at a time, stayed out of trouble. You know, that's what it takes to win a championship in this thing, and that's our long-term goal. And when you're looking long-term, you know, we're just plugging away, one car at a time, racing hard in front of the hometown crowd. And the Optima didn't put a foot wrong the whole day. And it's just, can't say enough about Kinetic Motorsport and Kia for a great race car. And, you know, just the opportunity to go out and pedal it as hard as we do. And I'm hoping that we'll have a little stronger run tomorrow.
It's interesting as well because, you know, with that big incident on the first lap, it cleared a lot of traffic for you. You still had to get through it. Great piece of driving there. When you talk about the points, you know, you came in one behind Nick. After qualifying, you were up 6 because then you lose that. You had all the potential in the world to be really hurting in terms of that points chase, but with that drive to fourth, you're still in the thick of it. This is still on.
It's a long season, you know, and I think the worst thing you could do is get down. Obviously, to get the news this morning was tough to take, but you know what? You just gotta. It's on to the next thing. There's nothing we can do. You know, these guys run a great series, and you know, we just have to go out and push really hard. We knew we had a strong car, so we had to stay out of trouble. And as you said on the start, I mean, it was clogged. I had to stop. I don't think I've had to stop on the track before and wait and then get going. So I had my work cut out for me, but you know, I knew I had a great car and great platform. So I just had to execute and stay out of trouble, and I think the guys will be happy. They don't have much work to do on the 38 for tomorrow. So
you also have the Toronto fans. That's motivation enough when you're racing at home. Well done.
Thanks very much.
Boy, talk about salvaging something there with the at Toronto to be on the pole and have to start at the back. Took advantage, obviously, of that incident. But that's another huge points play right there.
Well, you say you make lemonade out of lemons. I think he made lemonade out of apples. And that's how great that was when you think about what Mark Wilkins just accomplished.
It was phenomenal. When we come back from a break, we are going to have a special guest for you. It's a guy who over the recent years has become very associated with the brand of the prancing horse, Ferrari. And he is, his name certainly fits with that mark. He's got a lot of experience here at Toronto, but never in World Challenge cars. It's going to be fun to hear from Anthony Lazzaro when we come back. And welcome back to the paddock here for the Pirelli World Challenge at the Honda Indy Toronto for the standing start. Our pre-race show for the Pirelli World Challenge Championship, round 10 coming up for the GT and GTS machines. And as promised, Anthony Lazzaro himself is joining us here, and this is big. I mean, I've known Anthony for, he's way back. I actually announced the first race you ever ran in a Sports 2000 in a car proper. That's how far we go back. But so much has happened for you over the years, a former Pro Atlantic champion and now running in the Pirelli World Challenge. And the interesting thing is we're at Toronto for a team based here. I mean, how huge is that?
Well, for one thing, it's funny that you're still doing this and me. We're doing it together.
Good point, yeah.
For Ramo Ferri, I've known Ramo for a long time. His dealership, his Ferrari dealership, is one of the largest in the world, based probably about 30 minutes from here, just north of the downtown city of Toronto. And let's face it, Greg, anytime you're driving a Ferrari, it's always going to be a good day, right? I mean, there's never a bad day racing a Ferrari, so I'm very, very lucky. I don't take it for granted. And what a car and what a city to do it in.
You've been associated with the prancing horse and Ferrari for a while in a lot of different areas as a coach and a driver as well, so pretty fulfilling.
When your last name's Lazzaro and your
works.
favorite color's red, I mean, you've known me for a long time. My helmet's been the same for 1980. So, it's obviously quite an honor. I've always been very passionate about Ferrari. The first time I got to race one was back in 1998, sorry, in a 333. It's just a dream come true. What can I say?
That's one of my all-time favorite cars, the 333.
Yeah, absolutely, SB, yeah. Well, you drove in Atlantic here. Now you're driving this Ferrari 458 GT3 Italia. What's it like to drive that car here now in this time frame?
Well, first of all, it's that was back in 1998. I forgot which way the street went. Okay, I've always loved Toronto, but yeah, it's a cool experience. I mean, Pirelli World Challenge, GT3 cars. I said at the beginning of the season, build it, they will come. And they have come. I mean, these are the coolest GT cars in the planet right now to drive. Pirelli offers fantastic grip, which intensifies and makes it more satisfying to drive, I should say. To drive a Ferrari around Toronto with Ramo Ferri, pretty cool.
Was that the hook to bring you and the team into the Pirelli World Challenge full time? Just the attraction of the potential, what you were seeing evolving?
Yeah, I mean, once they opened up the rules to GT3 cars, it goes back a little bit further to Ferrari Challenge. Okay, so I do a lot of work with the Ferrari driving experience. Ferrari Challenge is their race series. Pirelli World Challenge GT3 car is an extension of that. So a Ferrari Challenge team can run one of these cars. They're not complicated. They're sprint races. It's a natural progression for any Ferrari owner who's currently racing in the series to come to Pirelli World Challenge and race just like Hedman's doing.
Yeah, and to great success in the GTA category as well. Kind of an interesting evolution as well to have a subclass to recognize the gentleman drivers that are certainly very capable. I mean, your teammate Nick Mancuso started as an A driver, got that pole and that podium at Barber, and see ya, now he's full-time GT. Some good talent in that class. Yeah,
he didn't carry that A behind it very long, did he? But yes, certainly Hedman's a prime example of how the system works. So this is the future. I think the series is fantastic. It gives these guys an opportunity to race, as well as other GT3 owners. I mean, let's face it, look at all the cars that are here. It's literally the coolest supercars from all over the world are right here in Pirelli World Challenge.
It's a destination. That's a simple way to put it. Speaking of destinations, Toronto, Exhibition Place, phenomenal street circuit. As Anthony said, if you haven't been here or familiar with it for a while, you might have forgot which way it goes. Well, Johnny O'Connell is about to clue you in with the Cadillac Key Corners. Enjoy this ride.
Hi, I'm Johnny O'Connell with Cadillac Racing, and these are the Cadillac Key Corners here in Toronto. Coming down into turn one, it's hard on the brakes, about the 250 marker down in a second, maybe third gear for this corner if you're carrying momentum. Challenging corner, you saw the concrete there. Up through the gearbox, fourth gear. fifth gear, all the way into top gear as we come down the long straightaway here. It's got a little bit of a kink, and then it comes into a very good braking and overtaking zone. Turn 3, about the 450 marker. We're hard on the brakes. Down into second gear, into our apex. Notice that concrete, very slippery. Up into third gear, through turn 4, up into fifth. Now we're hot on the brakes. Back down into second. This right here, boom, turn 5, critical corner. You got to carry your momentum. Up into third gear for turn 6. Long right-hander. You get a late apex, accelerate on out. Then up the gearbox again, fourth gear, fifth gear, through turn 7. Tricky little kink now, hard on the brakes, down in a second for turn 8. Look at all these pavement changes. Man, that makes it a challenge for us and the engineers trying to get our Cadillac right. We go into turn 9, again second gear, short shift up into third gear, for turn 10, hard right-hander. Final corner as we are out of breath. Down the straightaway, turn 11, challenging racetrack here in Toronto. And those are your Cadillac key corners.
Tell you, this really is an amazing temporary street circuit. It offers up a lot of everything, and it certainly produces some amazing racing. We saw that in round 9. I think round 10, especially with some of the changes in the start order because of those fast laps, it's going to be amazing.
Well, round 9, you saw that yesterday with that big bottleneck there in turn 2. Hopefully we can avoid that in round number 10. We won't have that green the whole way through.
That would be the righteous way to make this one happen. Round 10 of the Pirelli World Challenge coming up. Thanks for joining us here on the Standing Start, the pre-race show for the Pirelli World Challenge. It's round 10 of the Pirelli World Challenge at the Honda Indy Toronto. We'll be having it for you right now. Don't go anywhere. It's great to be here at Toronto, obviously, for our second round of the doubleheader weekend. Round 10 of the Pirelli World Challenge at the Honda Indy Toronto. Again, Mike, thank you so much for all the great hospitality here. The race yesterday was certainly eventful. We got it in. That was a great story. The Pirelli tires were absolutely superb, but we did have a couple of cautions and some incidents. Hope to avoid all that today. It's going to be very compressed. We are coming out, we are literally, folks, because of the fact of all of the changes to the track because of the rain yesterday and some of the activities that happened after our race, no warm-up for these cars. So we've changed it. Just because there's still damp patches on the track and incidents, they're going to do a rolling start, 2 pace laps. Clock will start after the completion of the first pace lap, and they just needed to give these drivers an opportunity to see this track and know where it might still be extremely slick and the like. I think that's a wise call, obviously. The other part of it is we may have a race that could be as short as 40 minutes long. Normally we do 50 minutes, but we have a time certain 10 o'clock checkered flag. So we need to, hopefully it might even be less really than 40 minutes, Jeff. And we need to get going here. So let's get right in, first of all, to the starting lineup so these fans here have an opportunity to know who's starting where. Again, based on fast laps from yesterday's race.
Yeah, looking right at the head of the field in our GT category on the pole. We talk about that driver, 2-time winner at Road America. It's Mike Skeen in his Hawk Performance Audi R8. Starting in second, the Dodge Viper SRT Motorsports, Kuno Whitmer from Quebec, Montreal, Canada. Starting in the third position, your winner yesterday, the factory Porsche North American driver in the effort racing Porsche GT3R, Nick Tandy. Starting in the fourth place in the K-Pax Racing McLaren EP412C. We'll have a special guest in the booth once again, his teammate here, but that's Robert Thorne in fourth. In fifth, it's Anthony Lazzaro in the R Ferry Motorsports Lake Ontario Ferrari 458 GT3 Italia in the fifth place. In sixth, it's James Sofronis, the leader of the Global Motorsports Group. He's the best qualifying Audi R8 from that contingent. Nick Mancuso starts in seventh in the number 16 R Ferry Motorsports Ferrari 458 GT3. In eighth, it's your points leader, Johnny O'Connell, finished in third yesterday in his Cadillac Racing Cadillac CTS VR. In ninth place, his teammate, right behind his teammate Johnny O'Connell, is Andy Pilgrim in the second of the Cadillac CTS VRs. In 12th, it's Michael Mills in the effort racing Porsche GT3R, a GTA driver in 12th. In 13th, Butch Leitzinger in that beautiful Britling Mobil 1 Dyson Racing Bentley Continental GT3. In the 16th place, Walt Bolin makes his debut in the Pirelli World Challenge here this weekend in his Audi R8 M1 Motorsports. Starting in the 15th place, Hendrik Hedman in the GTA category finished second yesterday in GTA in his Dragon Speed Ferrari 458 Italia. Starting in the 17th place, Brett Curtis in the Global Motorsports Group Audi R8. And in 18th, Bill Ziegler in his Global Motorsports Swisher Racing Audi R8. And in 19th, it's Brent Holden in the number 44 GTA Audi R8. We have into our GTS category. You're looking at that. There was a lot of big stories, Greg, going through the GTS category in that grid from a guy that started in last. Kind of reversing roles with teammates here this time, though.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing story, you're right. Mark Wilkins, who had the pole, then got DQ'd for yesterday's race, just a minor infraction in tech, then charged his way up to fourth, and in doing that, set fast lap, so he gets his pole. The Toronto native starts up on the top of the grid, and the put on the brakes or Kia Optima GTS. Starting second, great race yesterday too. Alec Udell in the Watson Racing Motorsports Development Group Mustang came in on the completion of the outlap, the parade lap. They had a warning light. Turned out it was an ABS issue. Got it fixed. Charged up through the pack. Ends up finishing fifth, second fast lap, Jeff.
Yeah, I hope that Chuck Watson, the primary sponsor on that Watson racing car, has better luck in the race than he did with the taxi cab last night. It's a story for a little bit later, but I want to say, sorry, Chuck.
Okay, gotcha. Starting third will be the number 60 Roush Road Racing Mustang Boss 302R of Jack Roush. Fourth will be the Reset MD Porsche Cayman, number 73 of Jack Baldwin. Had a gearbox issue in the race yesterday in a DNF. Starting in fifth, one of our big stories, I think. Best finish by far in the race yesterday. Best qualifying by far ever. Right here, Mitch Landry in the Versacrane Deep South Racing entry for Motorsports Development Group, the Ford Mustang, number 97. Starting in the sixth spot will be the number 1 defending series champion, Lawson Aschenbach, Black Dog Speed Shop Chevrolet Camaro. And we are going to be officially giving the command. We're going to ask Alex Figge, would you do the honors for us and get this race underway with an engine command?
All right, sir, I'll do it.
Do it right now.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
How about that? Command to start engines. That's cool.
Again, due to the compression, they're over in the pre-grid area.
He does it all. He does it all.
Very versatile.
That
Very
was
versatile.
one honey voice driver start your engine command, sir.
It's pretty sweet out here today.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Moving along, starting in the 7th spot, number 50, will be Dean Martin, winner yesterday, but only the 7th quickest race lap in the Picture Cars Easterhagen Racing Mustang. Starting in the 8th spot, number 11, Tony Gaples, a great 7th yesterday in the Black Dog Feed Shop Camaro, teammate to Lawson Aschenbach. Starting 9th with an 8th place finish yesterday is Rick Boucher, number 51 in the Nissan Motul SPL 370Z. Starting 10th, Buzz McCall, his first top 10 of the season yesterday, and 9th in the Reset MD Porsche Cayman. Starting in the 11th spot, number 04, his first top 10 of the season yesterday, Jorge De La Torre in the TRG American Aston Martin Racing North America, a GT4. Starting 12th, Jeff Reeves, another incident not of his own doing yesterday. Boy, talk about a guy who's got some tough luck. The Shadowworks Best IT Camaro. Starting 13th will be the number 87, Chris Outzen. A great run for him, first top 10 of the season in his iTrack Zone Mustang. Starting in the 14th spot, number 34, Nick Isayan. Everybody at the back now were caught out in that first lap crash. So they're basically starting based on their qualifying time because they never completed a lap. So it'll be Nick Isayan starting next up in the Natural Gears Aston Martin. Then it'll be Nick Janssen, the number 36 down at choose.org Kia Optima. He had a weird development we'll talk about. Then it will be in the 16th spot, Drew Riggets in the TRG Racers Group, the Aston Martin Racing North America GT4, number 02. Then it will be in the 17th spot, Andy Lee in the Crown 7 Best IT Racing Chevy Camaro. Talked to some of his crew guys yesterday. They thought they had a race-winning car yesterday and got taken out in that incident. That is a tough break indeed. Yeah. Starting next up will be Brad Adams in the Voodoo Music Dat Dog MTV Raps Ford Mustang Boss 302S. And then completing the field will be Ray Mason in the Children's Tumor Foundation Toge Tuning Racing for Research Subaru WRX STI. This track is a little slippery and greasy. That's an all-wheel drive car. He might just have a little bit of fun out there. Got to bring in now Alex Figge. And Alex, obviously this series standing starts is one of its hallmarks. But I think what they did today was really smart. And it's not that I don't think they were so worried about the standing start. It was getting these drivers with the cars moving a look at this track.
I think they had to do it. I mean, I think we're already looking at, you know, what could be a heck of a race here. I mean, you've got changing conditions. The guys don't know what, you know, like you said, they don't know what the track looks like out there after all the rain.
Yep.
And you've got a shortened race.
Yep.
And you've got a big mix-up in the field from the incident yesterday. So I think it's going to be quite something.
I think it's going to be spectacular. Quickly, our Pirelli Storylines.
That's a lot of them right there.
Yeah, that was one of them right there. That was absolutely huge to be sure. I think in GT you have to look at the two ringers delivered for sure. Tandy with the win, Kuno a fight in second. But now as we start our second pace lap. This will be a true pace lap with speed. The clock will start when they go by start-finish this time. The other one, though, is in the season-long points battle. The top two delivered there. Johnny O'Connell third. Essentially, when you throw out those two guys who aren't in it for the season, he wins. Second in point skiing, takes second, and will qualify because of that fast race lap, starts on pole.
And he gets that 7 bonus points for starting on pole, too. So that gap that Johnny had on him and finishing really closed that down. Really not much of a difference there.
Absolutely. In GTS, we talked about it, Mark Wilkins, the roller coaster ride for the Toronto native, has that provisional pole, has it taken away in tech, ends up starting at the back of the pack, lucks out, avoids all of that melee in turn 1, fights his way to 4th, and on the way sets the fast race lap, gets his pole at home here in Toronto. And talk about salvaging his point scenario with that drive. That was huge. And then Mitch Landry, best finish with a 6, and on the way to that, a fast lap of 5th, by far and away his best ever qualifying ever for the Motorsports Development Group. And, you know, Alec Udell was flying at the end as well, the other driver for that team. So MDG on it. Yeah,
I wonder if Mitch Landry followed Alec on that fast lap or not, because they really did good there. But if Mark Wilkins wins this championship, the drive for the championship was this first round at Toronto. You can tell me that. But looking at our Motul race analysis, this is well, it's a timed event. We have a hard checkered flag. That means that the checkered flag will fly at 10 a.m. So however long we get racing in, that will be our timed event. We're 1.755 temporary street circuit here at Exhibition Place in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Varying conditions. It was wet this morning. There's still damp spots. The track is very, very cool. All the cars are on Pirelli P0 slicks, though. It's going to be a barn burner.
I think it's going to be spectacular, and essentially by the time they come around, it'll be maybe a 31-minute race, Alex, so that sprint format takes on a whole new meaning today.
Well, it's going to be interesting as these guys come to the green. I think you're going to see the Viper and the Porsche try to get to the front, and you're going to see Mike Skeen try to put a gap.
Oh, you know it, and of course this negates the Cadillac standing start and launch, so they've got work to do. Pace car is in. Field coming up. There's our starter, Jerry Russin. We are green. Round 10 of the Pirelli World Challenge at the Honda Indy Toronto is underway. Skeen, absolute defense. Tandy, what a run, but could not get around Whitmer. So it is Skeen, then it is Whitmer, then Tandy, then the two Ferraris. Great start there by Nick Mancuso up into 5th.
Yeah, everybody got a clean start there. Kudo Whitmer to the outside of Mike Skeen coming down that backstretch into turn number 3. Look at the power of that Viper right around that Audi.
Boy, that is the absolute worst thing Skeen wanted to see. And look at Tandy, hangs on, ducks underneath Lazzaro. And a beautiful move by Robert Thorne in the McLaren around the outside of Mancuso. That's tough to do in 3.
I think Nick thought he had him there, but Robert was able to hang on the outside there. That was a great move, Greg, you're right.
The Cadillacs of O'Connell and Pilgrim shuffle back 8th and 9th right now. Nick Mancuso, a good run for him, wants to recover from just a devastating race this weekend. There's Nick Janssen coming through the field. This was all of our stragglers that we had in the race earlier. You see the two best IT Camaros that had problems yesterday with Andy Lee and Jeff Reeves.
Yeah, a whole group of them caught out in that turn 1 issue, but Janssen ended up, he had a fueling problem and just lost drive, which was what parked him. Whitmer comes by though, completing lap number 1 as they stream down into turn 1. Absolutely furious racing unfolding. Whitmer, a 1:13.8. Skeen, Tandy, Lazzaro, then Thorne, Mancuso, Sofronis in 7th, Pilgrim in 8th, O'Connell 9th, and Palmer into the 10th spot. And in GTS, the battle remains Wilkins over Udell, Roush, Baldwin, and Dean Martin. A good launch, Jeff up into 5th.
Yeah, Brett Holden there holding up our leaders of the GTS category. Mark Wilkins over Alec Udell, Jack Roush Jr., and there's Jack Baldwin. Had a transmission problem yesterday. They went back to the stock transmission instead of the 422 that they had running in that Cayman. He's looking for good things here. Watch out for Jack Baldwin in that Cayman. And look at Jack Roush thinking about trying an outside move on Udell. Not going to happen. Baldwin would have taken advantage of that if he tried it, I think, anyway. So it's probably a good move that Jack Roush decided to wave that off and not let Jack Baldwin knife up the inside.
As we saw yesterday, you can get into trouble at the end of the back straightaway real easily. I think discretion, the better part of valor in that situation.
And again, completing another lap. Whitmer over Skeen as they come by. And once again, this GTS battle with the lead. You've got this GT car that really is bottling them up. Going to see what happens here at Lawson Aschenbach, trying to find a way through as well. Boy, this is certainly keeping that GTS lead group parked. And I think, The Audi is going to duck in. Now these GTS guys are free to fly.
Yeah, very, very, very good move by Brent Holden pulling that into the pits. Way to go for that Global Motorsports group. Get out of that lead battle in GTS.
Yeah, class act to be sure. We just got word because of our later start that the officials have said now we can go till 10:05, so it's a 35-minute race. Anything helps.
Well, in these two classes, I think we've seen 5 minutes can make an awfully big difference in position changes, especially at the front.
Huge difference. Boy, this GTS battle is fierce. Look at this move. Udell showing the nose to Wilkins. Not really close enough to make it work. And that may have been in part, Jeff, to try and keep Roush behind him. And look at Dean Martin now trying to sweep the outside and work his way around. Boy, what a move that would be if he was able to complete it on Baldwin. We didn't get to see it. Here's Whitmer now starting to open it up just a little bit. And Skeen has Tandy all over the back of him.
Here Optima Battery, best standing start going to the driver, that number 36, DonorsChoose.org, Kia Motors America, Nick Johnson, up 3 places on the start.
Yeah, good start by Johnson doing what he has to do. But boy, second place, full under contest here, and Skeen knows it. He has Tandy hunting, and he actually moved way over, took this one move. But Skeen hits a little bit of a damp spot, car wiggled a bit. Tandy trying to stay parked around the outside. Skeen said, there's a wall there, it's your call.
That's a tough move. It's real easy to make that Audi a little bit wider and get Tandy off into the outside there.
Yeah.
But like we were talking about, I'm not sure you'll see that Porsche and Viper come back in exactly the same strength that they are currently. So I'm sure Nick and Kuno want to make hay while the sun shines, as they say.
That's a simple, this is my racing line, you may have it when I am done.
That is true, exactly.
Boy, this is playing into Skeen's hands beautifully, though. You know, with O'Connell, who's the points leader, mired back right now. Some of the other players as well. Skeen really well positioned. Again, Whitmer not in this for the season. So Skeen, this is falling his way.
You have to wonder, Greg, if maybe some of that standing water on the track is making it a little bit of a one-line racetrack, a little bit harder for these guys to get by. You can see the Cadillacs, maybe, like you said, a little bit stuck back there, and big points implications.
I think that's a good point, because there's offline, there is still damp spots around this track, Jeff. I think Skeen just hit one where we saw him last lap heading into 3. It just danced a little bit. So they got to be very precise today.
Yeah, especially if you want to make that pass, you're going to have to make it very calculated. Pin 4 of what you say, Greg, all the time, that high-speed chess match. You have to predict what moves you're going to have to make now.
You can see the guys trying it a little bit. You know, that's always what I try to do. You know, drop the inside just a little bit, just to feel if there's a little bit of that water, not commit fully to it. I think you see a lot of that looks like guys showing a nose when maybe it's just feeling out the conditions.
They're really, every lap they're exploring is what this is about. It's you're just gathering data every lap, basically. And boy, I tell you what, Mark Wilkins driving brilliantly here. It's Toronto. He probably has driven around this place a ton anyway. And now the GTA and GT leaders catching the back of the GTS field. This could be phenomenal. Watching Whitmer et al. Work traffic. Tandy able to get down underneath Skeen as he clearly got balked in that GTS traffic. Now Tandy second, and you know he's going after Whitmer.
Yeah, Whitmer got held up a little bit by Jeff Freeze. Mike Skeen got a run. Kuno protected. Nick Tandy took advantage of that, got around Skeen for second.
Oh, and look at this move now. Lazaro thinking about it, showing the nose down into 3. Wasn't quite close enough, but you know, Lazaro's still in this points battle as well. And again, with Pilgrim and O'Connell back, good day for him if he can keep it up here in this top 5.
Well, depending on what Nick and Kuno are planning for the rest of the season as well, Anthony's in a great points position right now.
Yeah, truly he is. And I think, you know, he's a smart guy. He knows that. And he's really going to play that game here well. Look a little bit farther back if you're watching on the big screens and online with us at world-challengetv.com and our global web stream. There's a look at the battle as well. Leitzinger chasing Dan Knox. And I think this is the number 41 of Mike Mills. He's trying to work his way up through the pack.
Yeah, Michael Mills on Effort Racing Porsche GT3R, your current leader in the GTA category, followed by Dan Knox that we just saw in that Dodge Viper from SRT Motorsports, the GT3R, the ACS manufacturing Viper. And there's the gap, about 10 car lengths, first to second in GTA, third, Marcelo Hahn. And that Ryder Engineering Lamborghini Gallardo, he was the leader yesterday, won the race overall, and he always rewards that crew. Went to a backup car, won the race.
Boy, I'll tell you, Mills needs this, doesn't he? He led the points at one point in the season, went to Road America, 2 DNFs, and just a tough weekend. Dropped out of that points lead. This is what he needs to get his season back on track.
Yeah, he really needs to recover from that. You know, it's really, and that team, with the data they have from Nick Tandy now, I see a big recovery coming from Michael Mills.
Just a little less than a half hour, 30 minutes, about 28 minutes remaining now. Plenty of race time here, Alex, as you've been watching what's going on the track. What are you noticing in our two class battles as we've now got a little heat in these tires, a little racing in?
Well, I've been interested since the cameras have been at the front of the GT field to see what those guys are up to. Actually look like it's settled in a little bit on pace, so I'm interested to see what they get into with some of this heavier GTS traffic. You know, Tandy looks very, very motivated to get to the front.
Doesn't he? Well, you know, Andy Pilgrim said it many times. When we go racing from the GT perspective, until we catch the GTS field, it's a race. Once we catch them, it's a war. The war has begun.
Some of the GTS cars at the back of that class are sort of running on their own, whether maybe they have some problems, aren't quite running up to pace. But as you get into the bulk of that field, you know, you're going to be in 3, 4, 5 cars at once. And let's not forget, they're having their own race.
And those drivers at the sharp end of this group in GTS, Jeff, are superb professional talent, and they will use that oncoming traffic to their advantage to try and mess up the guy they're chasing or the guy who's behind and chasing them. And, you know, the GT drivers will say, we love racing those guys because we know they're clean, but they don't always make it easy for us because they're doing their own chess match game, and we become the pawn sometime there.
Hey, he can go both ways. You got a GTS guy that want to put that GT car between the guy in front of him or behind him, or maybe get a good tuck and get a draft going down there. So if you're a GTS driver, you're a very busy guy out here.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Whitmer doing a great job right now. But Tandy really upping the pressure. And right now, Johnny O'Connell is under massive attack by Andrew Palmer. Johnny's 9th, Palmer's 10th. Palmer got a great run coming out of turn 11. So things not easy this weekend at a street course, which is a big surprise for the GT Cadillacs. Speaking of which, though, Andy Pilgrim trying to make life pretty miserable for Nick Mancuso.
It looks like it. I was wondering if, you know, if those Cadillacs were going to be a little racier today, but, well, just as I say that, here we go.
Well, Mancuso ducks underneath. That kept Andy parked out to the outside. Andy swerved a little bit, but he knew he was there. But that darn near let the other Audi that was right behind him come through as well. So that's James Safronis. So, well, I'll tell you, back out of that top 5 in GT, this battle, Jeff, is an outright brawl right now.
Yeah, you're looking there at Nick Mancuso. I mean, what about that? Andy Pilgrim, you got Andrew Palmer, James Safronis, both Cadillacs, a Ferrari, 2 Audis from Global Motorsports Group. That's the best battle on the track and the most exciting, and it's all the big players back marred in the field.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. This is absolutely awesome. Boy, and look at that. That is an aggressive move in the sense that I can't wait. Then Pilgrim saying, well, I got to go the other way. I got to stay with this. That is just fabulous racing. Palmer now, both Palmer and Safronis have got around O'Connell. Points leader today in trouble.
Boy, I'll tell you, we just as we started talking about, here's a race for the lead right now.
Tandy, well, they touch and they touch again.
There.
Tandy had to move because he was going to hit the wall. Now Tandy comes back up, a third little nudge on the back of Whitmer's Viper. These two, as I said, it's a war. That's what it's become right now. But Tandy, he was, again, you talked about tough to do that outside move, and he almost got wiped off onto the wall.
Well, I'll tell you, Greg, it seems like every time one class looks like it settles in, the front of the other class gets absolutely insane. So this short race is providing some pretty intense action.
It's fierce, and Jeff, obviously that Porsche's got that motor right over those drive wheels. So on a damp kind of cool track, that can be a very effective weapon.
It sure can. You're going to have to start watching for punctures and start doing that a little bit more. These Pirelli P0s can take the stuff. But there's that cannon to the inside of Kudo Whitmer. This is at its best. 2 factory-paid drivers, one from Dodge, one from Porsche, going at it overall in GT.
This is what racing should be. It's delivering here on the streets of Toronto. This is fabulous stuff. And the pace of these two guys, they're just starting to clear away from Lazaro, Skeen, and Thorne.
Yeah, Lazaro able to get around Skeen now.
Boy, did Kudo swing to get the back of that Viper to rotate and get turned into turn 3. Well, I tell you, Tandy's got, I think, the better car right now, to be sure. But Kuno Whitmer, that is one world-class driver. Now, what's going to happen? Coming up on the back of Mitch Landry, Kuno finds the gap, squeezes through. Landry stays out a little bit. Tandy's through as well.
Yeah, well, they keep battling side by side. I think the benefactor is going to be Anthony Lazzaro. He's coming. Watch out for that. It's side by side. Nick Tandy down to the inside.
And that is in that S's section. Turn 8, turn 9, turn 10. He tried it, couldn't quite get it done there. But Kuno, he had to change his angle in that last corner. I thought that Tandy might have a run down the straight, but I think that V10 Viper just has the legs right now. Uh-oh, 2 cars involved. That is the 32 of Curtis, and I think it's the 23 of Walt Bolin as well. This could create some issues here.
Yeah, this is right on line here, Greg, and they might end up having to go full course yellow for this one. They're right on the line coming out of turn 3 there.
Yeah, it's a blind approach. Suddenly they're there. The good news is they are off where the drivers might normally run, but we're getting word they're asking the safety car to stand by just in case these 2 guys can't get this cleared on their own.
Yeah, the volunteers that work the course here will be really good, and we are full course yellow. Man, devastating for this battles that we have for the leads in our GTS categories and our GT categories as the GT leaders just got to the front of our GTS field.
Well, devastating for Whitmer and Tandy. Guys named Lazzaro and the like, they're grinning and having a good time with it. On our global web feed, we're going to step away for just a minute as we're under this full course caution. We'll, of course, keep covering things here live over the track PA, but on our global web stream, don't go too far. We'll be right back with you in just a second. And we welcome everybody back here at our global web feed at WorldDivingChallengeTV.com. And we just saw a replay, folks, that are just rejoining us of the incident. You see the problem for Bolin with the hood up, but it was it looked like Curtis just ran a little wide, kissed the wall, it spun him around, and came right back in front of Bolin. Nowhere for Bolin to go. Both drivers have continued, so we should be able to go back to green very fast.
Yeah, and it's going to be good to see the NBC Sportsnet broadcast of this race and watch the in-car camera from that GoPro of Walt Bolin. But if you want a chance to have that same view that he's looking at with a GoPro camera, now's your chance to win one. Grab that cell phone, text to win. That's what you do.
Yep.
You text POV, point of view, of course, like you want to see, to 313131. Grab those phones and text POV to 313131 for your chance to win a GoPro Hero 3 camera.
And I'll tell you, if you do watch our NBCSN coverage, the enhanced coverage, those GoPros provide some stunning onboards. So absolutely fantastic. All right, we're just getting word, race control telling the safety car one more lap, then we will go back to green. So we'll still have ourselves, at this point, we got 20 minutes yet of racing. So it'll probably be down to 17 or so when we actually get to green. At this stage now, Alex, you've been racing fiercely on a track that is probably changing lap after lap. Now you get a caution, the tires are going to cool off, you've got to do it all again, and this track is just going to keep on changing.
In the multi-class racing, sometimes you feel like you've gotten an unlucky break, and I did see some guys get balked up with traffic right in front of us here. I'm sure they're feeling like this is an opportunity to maybe get back something they've lost, but as we've seen, you got to be careful with that type of thinking because it can get you in trouble also. I think we're going to see some awfully hard racing.
Yeah, speaking of unlucky breaks, Dean Martin, the number 50 Pitcher Cars East for Higgin Racing Ford Mustang Boss 302S winner yesterday. He got caught in that GT leader battle there. Mitch Landry right behind him. They're in the front of the GT field. The other GTS guys get to go all the way to the back. He's going to be almost a lap down to the GTS field. 6th place in GTS.
Oh, boy, that is a tough break indeed. And the problem is normally with a full 50-minute race, we've got what's called a wave by where we'd let those guys clear, come around, stay in the battle. But there's a regulation that when there's a time issue like it is here, that is one of the first things that's shelved. So, yeah, you know.
Sometimes it's a bit hard to understand, but it's simply an issue of where that safety car comes out to pick up the leader, in this case, Kuno and the Viper. And if you get caught in between, it's an unfortunate position to be in. Like Jeff said, it's the whole track now.
Yeah, he won yesterday. The racing gods giveth, and the racing gods taketh away.
Sometimes very quickly.
Yeah, and cruelly.
And cruelly, yes. Yeah.
That is tough.
Yeah.
All right, lights are out on the pace car. The field working its way up. Now, again, having that big run down through the backside of the track. But once they get up here into that turn 7, 8 area, it's going to get serious. Watch for that pace car to dive in. It is now into 9. Now, Kuno into turn 10. Tandy right behind him. And then, as you talked about, the number 50 of Martin, he's going to try and get by us. I love the optimism. But we are back to green. And now Lazaro, he's going to make the move. He's bringing Steen with him. The question is, can Thorne get by as well? Yeah, Robert Thorne has been able to slice through. Now, however, it's going to trap Mancuso and the rest of the gang behind them for just a little bit. So that lead group's now is going to have that nice little gap, at least for a bit.
You know, I got to say something about the guys that were caught in the front, the GTS cars. Terrific job by those guys. Picked a line, stuck to it. You saw all those GT cars get through. From a driver's perspective, very, very helpful.
Boy, Robert Thorne right on the back bumper of Mike Skeen going into 3. Gave him a little glove tap, said, here I am, buddy. The race is on for 4th.
Well, this is huge. I mean, right now, we've got the top 5 cars, and now I think make it, 6 is Mancuso. Once he got around Landry and Dean Martin and the 2 Mustangs, quickly gobbled that distance up. It got there. Then it's Pilgrim, who's just not quite through. I think it took Andy just a little bit longer to get through, but we basically now have a 6-car train for the lead, Jeff. Yeah, good battle there in GT. Going back to GTS, still Mark Wilkins over Alec Udell, Jack Roush Jr., Jack Baldwin. Lawson Aschenbach putting the battle to Jack Baldwin now. Hopefully we get a shot of our GTS battle, but how about that run from these guys in the GTS category? Alec Udell, the 18-year-old now, up there battling for a GTS lead. Absolutely fantastic. Here we go as we're looking for that battle to come around, and it could be upon us in a big, big hurry here. Here he comes. Boy, I'll tell you, some traffic for Wilkins to deal with. Udell right behind him, then Roush, then Baldwin, then Aschenbach. So both classes now, a 5-car battle in GTS, a 6-car battle in GT. This is furious stuff. Oh, look at that move by O'Connell. He was he saw opportunity, and he tried to get by both of those Global Motorsports Group Audis down into turn 3, and he may have made it work. A little bit of a ping pong off of a car there, but he got through. 8 tires are better than 4.
Boy, it's a heated race out there in GT. We've seen more contact, I think, in the 15 minutes than the entire day yesterday. It's people want to get to the front of this race. There's no question about it.
Another nice move there. Again, Brad Adams and the Voodoo Dat Dog Mustang saw that lead group coming, just got out of the way, let them slice through, and this phenomenal battle continues. There's Wilkins, but look at Udell. Well, I tell you, as this race goes on, if Udell keeps hounding that Kia, Jeff, that front wheel drive, good in the low grip conditions, but if he can get him to overheat those front tires a little bit, that has to do everything. Udell and Roush, those 2 Mustangs look great.
Yeah, I believe the Mustang of Alec Udell is going to have the advantage over the Kia, especially in these later stages. That Kia, you're asking that front tire, like you said, to do so much work. The Mustang, those fronts are great, good and grippy, and you need that on a street circuit.
Getting back to this lead battle in GT, you've got the V10 Viper with that big engine up front. You've got the rear engine flat 6 of the Porsche. This is the battle. As we get deeper into this now, which do you think is going to have the strength at the end of this one?
It's whoever can make those tires last, because they are both going at 10/10ths. And I was actually going to make the comment that you can tell that you're a pro at this, Greg, because every time you mention something, that fight ends up heating up incredibly right in front of us. As soon as you mention those 2 cars, they're back at it, banging wheels. And I mean, I think we're going to have this for another 15 minutes, this kind of battle.
I think it's going to be fierce. And what I was getting at was all that weight in the front of the Viper makes it pushy. All the weight in the back of that Porsche makes it stick, but it also abuses those rears pretty good. Tire management,
You know, Porsches, I think, notoriously are good on the long run, but is this really a long run? It's an abbreviated race. We just had a yellow. It's very cool outside. The track temperature's cool. I think it's going to be a fight.
I do too, and about 13 minutes left in this one, and the racing can't be any better. That battle at the front, Jeff, those 2 cars glued together, 5 cars glued together in GTS.
Boy, well, you talk about a street battle, Alex. Nick Candy comes across turn number 11, a left-hander, full lock to the right on the brake, and still made up time going into 1 over Kuno Whitmer. The battle is on in all of our classes still. GTS, here it is, Lawson Aschenbach, Jack Baldwin, Jack Roush Jr., a little slide that he has there, trying to defend that 3rd place. That's allowing Alec Udell and Mark Wilkins to pull away.
Yeah, they got a little caught up coming up on the back of Buzz McCall. And Buzz did what he needed to do, just stayed put, let them make their move. Now look at this, Udell. Ooh! That car Wilkins dancing on the brakes. Udell looking a lot more planted right now and able to tuck in. It was interesting, before the race started yesterday, when Udell pitted, they had a warning light. It was an ABS sensor issue. The crew fixed it, got him out, let him have that kind of run. During the race, Alec, he radioed in at one point and said, "Car, it's awful, it feels awful. Car's bad." And they said, "You just set second fast race lap." And Alec went,
and
"Oh."
he said, "You know, it feels pretty good."
Didn't say a word after that, put his head down. That car looks great right now. And then this battle in GT is fierce. And these two guys now drawing away from Lazaro.
Nick Tandy is trying everything he can, inside, outside, on the back bumper, going wide, trying to do over and under. Kuno Whitmer doing everything he can to defend, focusing on that. Anthony Lazaro able to pull a little bit away from Mike Skeen in the earlier stages near the green flag after that caution, but now Mike Skeen slowly, as that Audi comes up to speed, starting to reel him back in. But Nick Tandy sideways again, he's driving that Porsche.
Oh, he has absolutely been brilliant. We watched him yesterday going into turn one, the opening 3 laps when those tires weren't up to temp. The car was dancing. He had it on and over the edge and controlled it beautifully. But I think right now, Kuno Whitmer is using the torque of that V10. He almost might be overslowing in the corners a little bit to try and park that Porsche to get the launch out, do you think?
You know, it can be hard sometimes when you're leading to maintain that brake and entry pace because you have to pay attention to the guy behind you. So I'm not surprised that Kuno's maybe a little bit weaker on the brakes and into the corner because all he cares about, like you said, getting off the corner, getting down the straightaway with enough room not to be attacked. But I think Tandy's going to attack anyway. So.
Well, and they're about to attack some traffic. Again, the back part of the GTS group. This could be huge. And it's all, oh, Tandy trying to move as they got down into, boy, I'll tell you, he's willing to do it anywhere. He gets another good run. But Outzen in the way. Kuno moving to get by Outzen. That parked Tandy. Tandy again showing the nose. Not quite able to get it done there. This is brilliant stuff. And both Lazaro and Skeen able to sneak through those two guys as well. They have not lost touch.
Oh, yeah, they're just hoping those guys start going side by side. Let them just slam that gap shut and make that happen. But the battle in GTS is on, too, is now you got Jack Roush Jr. back up to the back of Alec Udell. Alec Udell still on that back bumper of the Kia. Boy, the legs of that Viper down the straightaway. They're looking pull away from Tandy.
10 minutes to go here. As, boy, I'll tell you, after Wilkins and Udell were able to draw away a little bit, not for long. The two Jacks, Roush and Baldwin, are right there again. And then you've got Lawson Aschenbach, that black ace of spades. It's like a poker hand.
Yeah, it really is, and it's funny to watch that Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro that gets in this tight spot here. He closes right on the back of Jack Baldwin, gets on the long straightaway on the backside going into turn number 3, and just the field pulls away from him. So great driving job from Lawson Aschenbach, trying to catch this battle, doing all that he can.
This is another situation where I wish there was a split screen.
Oh, I know.
mean, we've got an unbelievable battle for the lead in both classes.
We do, and this, by the way, Michael Mills continuing to lead in GTA, doing a fabulous job over Dan Knox, who's having another great weekend in that GTA category, Viper. And then sitting in third continues to be Hendrik Hedman. And again, Kuno really got parked by a GTA car coming through 11, heading down into turn 1. We're not sure. We're watching what we have to. It's a great GTS battle, too. But Tandy may have had a golden opportunity, and Tandy has gone around. Down in turn 1, not sure what happened.
Oh, big hit by Nick Mancuso there.
Thorne able to sneak through, but Tandy and Mancuso both have damage.
Wow.
Yeah, we just didn't see it. Boy, look at the damage on Mancuso's car. Tandy is pulled off driver's right. He's broken. And look at this again. Pilgrim under attack from those two Audis. And Johnny O'Connell, remember that aggressive move to get in front of him? Those two Audis have gone back around him. I don't think Johnny's car is happy today at all.
Yeah, no, he's not. And boy, Nick Mancuso, got a feel for him. He had contact in the first session, contact in qualifying, hitting the racer, just not the weekend he wanted to do when he went up here to Toronto.
Well, there's nothing Nick could do there. I mean, you come around the corner, you don't expect somebody actually at 0 miles an hour in the line, and that's a shame. That's a shame.
Yeah, that was tough indeed. So going to be a tough one now. Kuno, though, able to get through that traffic earlier in that sequence, allowed him to open that margin up now over Anthony Lazzaro. And I'll tell you, Bennett Skeen, that full season points picture that we have to pay attention to, obviously. Lazzaro, Skeen, O'Connell, and Pilgrim way back, and Palmer buried a little bit. Good stuff. And there's the damage. Mancuso bringing that beautiful Ferrari Lake Forest, our Ferry Automotive Group Ferrari, down into the pits. Meanwhile, Wilkins hanging on as he continues to be under attack from the two Mustangs, then Baldwin, then Aschenbach in the black Camaro, and Marcello Hahn, a spin, but gathered it up. He may have got away with one there.
Yeah, he recovered nicely, though, to get back underway, get that car cleared. We're still watching our GTS battle. It's not over in GTS between Mark Wilkins, Alec Udell, Jack Rouse. Mark Wilkins is on heavy defense mode here. Alec Udell on the tack in that Watson Racing Motorsports Development Group Ford Mustang. And Alec Udell has been a phenom since he's come into this series, 14, 15 years old. And talk about phenoms. Look at the career of Anthony Lazzaro. Look where he is now.
Well, and take a look. There's your 5 GTS leaders. Right behind them, the 2 overall GT leaders. Whitmer in that Dodge Viper SRT GT3R. Anthony Lazzaro in the Ferrari of Ontario, Ferrari of Toronto. 458 Italian GT3. The leaders coming up on the leaders. And boy, Udell again. He has been amazing through 1 and 2. Just not enough. He's got to, work that outside. It's not going to happen. And for a minute there, I thought Lazzaro was going to try and force the issue on Aschenbach, and you realize, no, he's racing, and that was a smart move.
I think this is a situation that you and Jeff touched on earlier, where that's the lead of the GTS field, and those guys are going, hey, we're racing here.
Yep.
You guys deal with it yourself, and Lazzaro couldn't get through there.
And I'll let you through when it works for me.
Exactly.
And that's part of being a pro for sure. Now they've gotten through all but your GTS leader Wilkins. Look at Kuno, look at Chef Gibson. And that's the nice thing when pros are racing with pros in different classes. Wilkins saw him, just open the wheel up for a second and let him through. Now Wilkins coming through turn 11, saw that Lazzaro was swinging the outside. He just closed that wheel a little bit, gave him the outside, let him go, and didn't hurt himself relative to the guys behind him. Brilliant stuff. You know what that's called? High-speed chess by great, great players.
Less than 5 minutes of chess left in this game, and you got to get you don't want to be a checkmate here near the end. As Mark Wilkins, Alec Udell, Jack Rouse Jr., Jack Baldwin, and you got Lawson Aschenbach, but you see that deficit that Lawson loses on the straightaway, just not enough to make it up in the current turns here at Toronto.
Oh, this is just brilliant stuff. We've said it many times, but this is what racing should be, and it is being delivered once again by the Pirelli World Challenge here in the 10th round of the championship at the Honda Indy Toronto. Absolutely fabulous racing.
Well, it's a lot of bang for the buck, isn't it?
Oh,
it settles down a little at the front of the GT field. Oh, got a race that broke out here in the GTS field that we can all...
I know, it's wonderful, isn't it?
You see it still going through that lap traffic. Anthony Lazzaro, that allowed Kuno Whitmer. He got through that lap traffic a little bit early before you get down to that turn 8, 9, 10, 11 complex. It's about a 6-car length lead, 7-car length lead now. Kuno Whitmer in the driver's seat with 3.5 minutes remaining in this race.
Be interesting to see now what happens, as you were talking about, to that Viper on the long run. A lot of weight over the front end. Kuno's got to be using the front tires up. I know that Ferrari is a very well-balanced package.
Yep.
Anthony's a very experienced, very fast guy. You never know what you could get.
Well, and Anthony has said this whole season, he said, for some reason with the Ferrari, it wakes up late. But when it wakes up, it is a fabulous weapon. And he is well placed right now. We just have to see how it plays out. This is a time game right now, and it is going to be absolutely intense. Oh boy, things getting real interesting. And Mark Wilkins just got a gift as 2 of those GT cars. I think it was Thorne and Pilgrim able to split those 2, and that gives Wilkins just a smidge of breathing room here.
Yeah, like that, I believe that was Palmer and Thorne in the Audi.
Yep.
And then you got Thorne. Yeah, that's just a gift to Alec Udell. But then they get around Wilkins, hold him up a little bit. Look at the run Alec Udell has coming out of turn number 4.
Well, exactly. As that last GT car went by Wilkins, that actually he couldn't turn in when he wanted, and it did give a big opportunity here. And now they're just packed in. Our GTS leaders, oh, here comes one of the Cadillacs. That's Pilgrim down the inside of the 17. and Udell trying not to give up too much here. Onto the front straight we go. Udell getting a good run. Wilkins might get held up by one of the lap GTS cars. Udell might have an opportunity. Well, no, now you've got one of the Audis coming up around the outside. I think that's Safronis. And again, Wilkins gets that little bit of a gift.
Yeah, watch Alec Udell trying to see if he can take advantage of Wilkins getting pinched down there. Just keep your foot in it, go right to the outside. But he's got 2 lap GTS cars and a lap GT car all in this scrap for the lead in GTS.
Multi-class sports car racing at its finest, and guess what? Next time by for Whitmer, white flag.
I'll tell you guys, it's as hectic as it looks on TV from the driver's seat. Imagine spending 100% of your mental energy on something and then being given another challenge, which is the lap traffic. And it's one of the things that really makes this series exciting. And both days we've seen traffic play a huge part in how the race turned out.
Oh, it's a great point, yeah. Here we go, Whitmer coming through, Lazaro in second. Jeff, you're on your way to victory circle. I think you got a lot to talk about over there, buddy.
Oh, I got a lot to talk about, and I'm not even going to bet you this time on who's going to win this one in both classes.
Can't do it. Unbelievable.
Oh, Palmer. Palmer has a problem.
Battle.
Palmer's pulled over to the side. Robert Thorne's going to go through the fourth. Looks like Palmer's R8 just gave up there.
That is great stuff. And by the way, here's your battle for the GTS lead. And again, Alec Udell, 18-year-old superstar in the making, gets a great run. Not enough. Now tucks back in. Ooh, so close to Wilkins at the exit of one. I think he may have even given him just a very gentle little hello.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Alec try that again at the end of the straightaway here. Those Mustangs have a lot of legs down the back straight.
They certainly do. And here we go, down into 3. See if Udell can do anything here. Wilkins going to protect big time, obviously. Does a nice job. And Udell suddenly looks in his mirrors, and there's Jack Roush. So he's got to be a little bit circumspect. And Whitmer had opened up a little bit of a margin over Lazaro. Lazaro was able to trim that down a little bit, but he still has about 6 car lengths. Kuno Whitmer onto the front straight of Toronto. The Montreal native bringing home a win after a second yesterday. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Lazaro, great day in the points for Anthony Lazaro. You gotta love that. Then it'll be skiing, and then we're looking, is it gonna be Robert Thorne? It sure is. As they come streaming through, looks like Palmer will get 5th, Pilgrim and Safronis will be 6th, O'Connell will be 8th. And here's our battle for GTS. Oh, he got a run. Udell coming up. No!
Oh my goodness.
2 feet for Wilkins, the Toronto native, winning at home on the streets of Toronto, but by 2 feet over the young Texan. Wow.
I mean, that's a heck of a race there. And, you know, unfortunately for Nick, the close race we had in GT didn't work out for the Porsche, but boy, we got a treat in GTS. My God, the last few laps of that race were really, really good.
Absolutely spectacular, Alex, to be sure. And other cars coming by, but, you know, again, Whitmer, good day. You know, they came here to showcase that customer program for that Dodge Viper SRT GT3R, have done that beautifully. But looking at that season point scenario, Skeen came in second, Lazaro was 5th into the weekend. You know, Skeen starts on pole, had a 4th yesterday, now gets the 2nd with O'Connell, Pilgrim, Palmer, all the other players in the points back. Lazaro came in 5th. Now he gets this essentially a win. You know, when you look at the season-long guys with the 2nd, our points battle is just compressing again, too.
It's very, very close. It's very, very close.
Awesome.
Looked like Andrew Palmer had a bit of bad luck there. I'm not sure what happened to the Audi, and he was a player in that points battle as well. But for Lazaro and Skeen, doing what needs to get done, ran a clean race. We mentioned earlier in the race, if this battle gets too hot, it might be Anthony that enjoys a good day, and he really did. That's a terrific 2nd place, I think.
Yeah, he played it extremely well. You could see, you know, sometimes it's not just about raw speed, which certainly Anthony has. Sometimes it's about racecraft experience, which he certainly has. Reading the scenario and going, you know what? To me, I need points. If I can win this, I'd love to. You know, Ferrari of Ontario, Ferrari Toronto sponsors on the locally based team. But big picture, That's what these guys get. That's what those pros are all about.
And absolutely, and I certainly hate to harp on anything political, because the racing was incredible. But like you said, Kuno's here to showcase a product. The Viper and the Porsche have enjoyed some advantages, and you got to make hay there, And I think Anthony knows that. He's not going to put his car at risk doing something silly. He's an old pro at this for sure.
You bet. Look at the joy for Kuno Whitmer. Climbing out of the car, turned right into victory circle and stood up on that bad boy, that big snake, and just doing some celebrating. Absolutely fantastic. Alec, I'm going to say a big thank you to you. Alex, it has been such a treat to have you up here for these 2 races, but we're looking forward to getting your butt out of the booth here the next race at Mid-Ohio and back where you belong.
I had an absolute blast with you guys. Thank you again. I think I am going to have to just pop back into that McLaren at Mid-Ohio,
though. Here, McLaren. Easy math.
I don't want to make it mean, Greg, but
Hey, I get it completely here. There's Kuno again celebrating. So let's take a quick look here. We're going to run through the top 5 in each of our categories. And I want to say a big thank you to everybody who joined us today on our global web feed. Of course, at world-challengetv.com. We'll be wrapping that up shortly. But in GT, in the 10th round of the championship, Kuno Whitmer, after his second yesterday, getting a win in the SRT Motorsports Riley Technologies Dodge Viper SRT GT3R. What a weekend. Anthony Lazzaro in the R Ferry. That is the Ferrari Ontario, Ferrari Toronto. Beautiful Ferrari 458 GT3 Italia. Second, great points day. Mike Skeen, the number 2 Hawk Performance Audi R8 LMS Ultra. In third, fourth, that beautiful McLaren is, Alex has pointed out, the 12C GT3. Teammate Robert Thorne with a great 4th place fighting. Well, what a mid part of the season he's had after that great podium at Road America. He has come alive.
Kept it clean and enjoyed some advantages there.
And
absolutely.
Aggressive when he needed to be. Really good stuff. And rounding out your top 5, the number 8 of Andy Pilgrim. That is a big story too. The other part of that big story is Johnny O'Connell back in 8th. That was a development. And after a rough day yesterday, just in terms of pace and then late contact, Butch Leitzinger, I talked to him after the race. He said, this car's a little heavier, so we had good temp in the tires. He said, but we had no clue on setup. This is a bumpy track. He said, we learned a lot. We showed it today because they had a good fighting run in that Breitling Mobil 1 Bentley Continental GT3 up into the top 10.
It's a brand new car, and they're the team to get a handle on it, but sometimes it takes more than just one weekend to get your hands on something like that.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. Now, let's take a look. In GTA, that is the class for our gentlemen drivers. What a day for Mike Mills. Early season points leader, dropped out. Now he's back in play in that 41 Effort Racing Porsche. Dan Knox, great day in the ACS Manufacturing Performance Speed Tech, that beautiful Viper from SRT and Dodge, the GT3R. And in third, Henrik Hedman, another podium in that number 10 Dragon Speed Racing with Ferrari Italia. Marcello Hahn, a 4th place finish, and Bill Ziegler, I think his 3rd, 5th in 4 races. And then you throw in a 2nd place, I think, at Road America, 3rd place at Road America for Ziegler, a great time. Now in GTS, it's Mark Wilkins getting the win at home here in Toronto. That's huge for the points. That should put him, right back into points play, I think. And
terrific drive.
What a drive
Terrific
today by
drive,
Alec Udell as well. Boy.
And Alec, both those guys. It's not easy to be up front and have that kind of pressure that Alec was putting on him. So great job by Mark.
Absolutely fantastic. Jack Rouse Jr. in the number 60 will finish 3rd. And it'll be Jack Baldwin, the 2 Jacks right there. Baldwin in that Reset MD Stop Tech Motul. Porsche came in 4th. And last year's winner, defending season champion Lawson Aschenbach, ends up 5th. And even a lap down, Dean Martin still ended up 6th. And another great day for Mitch Landry. Boy, has he had a breakout weekend here. And
I think he's going to be a Toronto guy from now on.
I think so. Yeah. But he's a Texas-based Louisiana native. So
all right.
Interesting story there. Talked to him last night. He started as a pro when he was real young, racing dirt and road racing on bikes. So the guy has got some chops. He raced against a guy named Kenny Roberts.
There you go.
So that's enough.
That guy's won a race or 2 in his life.
Yes, absolutely. So with that, we are going to wrap things up here. We do want to remind everybody out there that is listening, whether you're here at the track or on our global web feed, the enhanced coverage will be on NBC Sports Network, NBCSN, Sunday, August 10th, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in, see all the great onboards, all of the great inside interviews and the like. Want to have you join us then. We're going to wrap things up here now from Toronto. Thanks so much. Next rounds of the championship are coming up in just a couple of weeks. Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. If you happen to be in that area, folks, swing on by. The Pirelli World Challenge is tearing it up. It's been a joy to be here as part of the Honda Indy Toronto. Take care, everybody.